Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Canon where we dive into the cinematic world of comic books and superheroes. Today's episode will be our first movie review on The Canon, and today we'll be reviewing Green Lantern, Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool. So, going to get right into it. Sal, what are your overall impressions of Deadpool, the whole experience?
Well, the whole experience was really cool. It was our first superhero movie of 2016. The first superhero movie of the next 5 years. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, we talked about it for the last couple of weeks, but I think it really delivered. I really do. The hype at the movie theater was real. Everyone rushed into the theater and stuff like that. So that was cool. But overall, the movie, I think it gave us exactly what it said it was going to give us. I laughed throughout the whole thing. I was entertained throughout the whole thing. Ryan Reynolds did amazing work on screen and off screen as a producer. So I really, really enjoyed it, and it's definitely rewatchable, Terry.
Very true. I enjoyed it too. Really liked the movie. Got to see it out of state, different buzz. But it was interesting. I think just seeing what type of crowd came out to see it, it was a lot more diverse than I thought it would be. I think there were the comic book, nerdy fans, but there were older couples of different races. There were younger couples. There was a couple people that brought their kids in.
I heard some kids in the background.
Yeah, so it was just it was a good mix of people. It was the fan base was a lot more diverse than I thought it would actually be. So, and now that we saw the numbers, we know a lot of people went to go see this, so that's not a surprise. But it was the energy in the crowd. People were laughing the whole time. A lot of jokes flying fast. So, yeah, overall, like you said, they gave us what they promised and then some. I think they definitely took Deadpool to a higher stage after, that movie, where we're going to be expecting some, quality humor from him coming forward. All right, so let's go into some of our positives. So, what are some of the things that you really liked about this movie?
One thing I really liked and one person I really liked was Ed Skrein. As Ajax, I thought he did really well. I mean, he was kind of just the cookie cutter bad guy. I mean, that's how he is and that's how he was. But I thought he did really well with his back and forth with Ryan Reynolds. And his accent, his British accent. I know they kind of didn't they already say in the opening credits, didn't they say British villain? I don't know. Did I hear that?
I'm not sure.
Maybe not. I don't know. But somewhere they, said he was just the British bad guy. So,
yeah.
But he was, and he wasn't. I mean, he went. I think he went above and beyond what I thought he was gonna do. Again, I thought he was just gonna be like, oh, here's the bad guy, and he's gonna get killed at the end or whatever happens at the end. But he did really well with that, and he was pretty menacing at some point, so I really appreciated that, and I was really entertained by his character. Other than that, the jokes got me laughing throughout the whole thing. There are some bad negatives with the jokes, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But, the whole time I was laughing. There were jokes I didn't see throughout the trailers, so that was really funny. I think the number one joke for me, which wasn't that funny even, but it was pretty funny, was when T.J. Miller tells Angel and Ajax to have fun at their showing of Blade 2.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I thought that was hilarious just because Blade is not even, it hasn't been talked about in 100 years. So I thought that was the best joke out of all of them. Just overall though, the action I thought was really good. It wasn't grotesque or,
I thought that too. Going into it, people were talking about, the rated R and all the different things that go with it. but the gore, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought they were really going to go for like horror movie type, just too much, but it really wasn't bad at all.
No, not at all. I think a lot of people were worried about that, but it was as classy as Deadpool can be with gore and stuff like that. So it was fine to me. I really was entertained throughout the whole thing. So, what about you?
Yeah, there's a lot of positives. The overall tone of Deadpool stayed consistent, like you said. Just no matter what was going on, someone was saying a joke, or the jokes were flying fast and furious. You started from the opening credit scene, like it was just funny the way they set that up. Well, this is a spoiler review, so yeah, just making fun of different people is like a CGI character.
Yeah.
And then what did it say, like a emo teen or something? Then the one I like was the writers, the real heroes.
Yeah.
Like that. So that stuff was funny, and all the jokes I like. Well, not all, but for the most part I like that. So the tone staying consistent was good. I also like the villain Ajax. The one part that like made him good for me was the torture scene, where you saw why he had this issue with Deadpool, Wade Wilson, whatever, and you kind of understand it too. You're like, okay, this dude's a douchebag, but that kind of, and then for him to go dark like that and do that to him, that build a lot upon his character, because before that it was just really thin to me. I'm like, okay, he's just, like you said, a cookie cutter. The X-Men stuff was good. It was nice to tie that in. Man, yeah, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, that's probably the biggest positive. I think just a lot of the stuff he did, whether it was the action, whether it was just the quick jokes, whether it was banter, Ryan Reynolds hit it on every level and really made himself Deadpool. So, all right, so you kind of touched on it. I want to talk about our favorite joke of the movie, but you could go ahead and give us the second one if you got one.
Probably the hand.
The baby hand.
Well, here, let's go related to that. The best sequence throughout the movie, which was hilarious, was Colossus versus Deadpool on the bridge.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was amazing. I thought that was hilarious. Everyone did their part in that scene. Even Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she just, even just with her looks or her quips, was just like, she made that scene really work too. So, but just him breaking his ankles and his hands and whatever, that was golden. So I think that is and that was pretty early on, in at least the first quarter of the movie. So it really set the tone for what this was going to be, and especially what the relationship between Colossus and Deadpool was going to be. I know one thing we were talking about was Colossus not being the older actor from the X-Men movies. But I really think that this Colossus really worked a lot better with Deadpool and with Ryan Reynolds. Their characters really complemented each other, so I think it worked really well. We'll see how they go moving forward, if they use a human actor or use him in human form, see how that works out, because I really thought him just staying CGI worked well. So, and that's kind of off course because we're talking about jokes. But anyways, and then along with that was when his hand grows back and he's with Blind Al. So that everything in that sequence was pretty hilarious. What about you?
It's tough to pick. I have so many. One character I think was not appreciated, but people aren't talking about as much, is T.J. Miller's Weasel, who was just hilarious. You brought it back up, that one joke. I forgot about that one. That was funny. But the part where they were getting ready, Deadpool's like grabbing all the guns and stuff, and they're getting ready to go see Ajax, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I would go with you, but I don't want to." And I was just like, that was hilarious, because And I feel like this kind of happened to me most of the movie since I knew it was like a jokey joke movie.
Yeah.
Every time they were setting up something, I kept like in my head guessing what they were going to say. And I had like 50 different answers, you know, what he was going to say. But that wasn't one of them. But it was still funny. But I'm like, the delivery, like his dry deadpan humor was just so funny.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite jokes. I also like at the end when she or what's her name, Vanessa, his girlfriend, takes off his mask and he has like a Hugh Jackman cut out. Because then I'm thinking like he had that on the whole time they were fighting.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Like that stuff like that was pretty funny. All right, so a movie is a movie, and there's always flaws that can be had. Do you have any negatives from this movie?
Well, from the start, the budget was a concern, just because it was kind of a tryout movie for Fox, I think. So, anyways, the budget really, I think, affected a lot of this movie. Not to take anything away from it, I thought it was really, really good, but I felt like it was only an hour, about 40 minutes of actual movie time. So I think how they went about fitting everything in was fine. I thought it worked really well, but the fact that it was that short, and I think it was chalked up to the budget, kind of hindered on things that we could have been better in terms of the secondary characters like Blind Al or Weasel or Colossus and Negasonic. I thought that if they would have had more screen time, we would have really, I thought it would have been a really big positive for the movie, just because for pure comedy reasons, I thought it would have worked out really well. Like Blind Al was barely in it. I thought she was gonna be in a lot more, and I know we were talking about how we don't even know what their relationship really was. Does she know that he's Deadpool? How long have they been living together? Right. It seemed like they were pretty comfortable with each other, but at times you were like, I don't know if they really do know where each other's motives are. So I think that the runtime kind of hindered on things. I have my notes here, but jokes, I loved all the jokes, but I thought that we saw a lot of them already in the trailers. A lot of the jokes that were in the trailers we see in this movie, and I thought they would have had a lot more versions of the jokes to give us an actual movie, maybe a little bit dirtier, that they were saving for the screening. Well, one thing that really popped in my head was T.J. Miller and Reynolds when Miller sees his face for the first time. We saw a few different versions of that. But we saw one of them was like the avocado one, and I think Utah was in that.
Yeah, the topical graphic.
So we saw that in the trailer, and then we saw it in the movie. So I thought they would have had a lot of different takes. I know they had some that were really too inappropriate.
It got cut. Yeah,
it got cut.
Blu-ray.
Is it on Blu-ray?
Well, when it comes out, I'm assuming.
Okay. Well, they had those. So I thought we would have saw something different. So that's one thing I kind of wanted to see, but overall, not too many negatives coming out. They worked really well with what they had in terms of money, in terms of screen time. So, those are my only negatives. What about you?
Yeah, I struggle with this. I like this movie, and we'll get to the grading, but I feel like I'm not as high on the movie as everyone else that I've heard, so I feel like it might sound like I have a lot of negatives, but just some things that don't work for me, that's fine. It's normal. But kind of what you were saying, the pacing really kind of knocked me, not out of it, but knocked me off course a few times. I don't know that the jumping back between the past and the present was the best course of action, but the way they did that kind of threw me off because, like you said, it seemed rushed at times. And so, classic origin story trip-ups where some things aren't developed, as fully. And one big part for me was the relationship between him and Vanessa. It didn't work as well for me as other people, and I think this movie, I wouldn't say hinged on it, but it was a big part of it if you cared about the love story. Yeah. And the way they met and the hilarious montage they chose to use to show them being together just didn't work for me. It was too soon. And so by the time they split up, I didn't feel like, so what? And then when she gets kidnapped, he's like just beyond pissed, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really know who Wade Wilson is enough to, say, no, he needs her.
Well, they were only going out for a year anyways, right?
Something like that.
The flashback was a year when.
And they did a bad job of keeping track of time because, like you said, we didn't know how much time passed between him leaving and getting experimented on becoming Deadpool. We don't really know how long they were together as a couple. We know it was like over a year by the seasons.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really do a great job of letting us know where we were. But other than that, yeah, it's that really, the pacing just kind of threw me off for the movie. The X-Men stuff was weird. I like that they made a joke about it. And actually, I'm going to try to go back in time to my positives. The meta references were great. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. Like, we knew they were going to break the fourth wall where he talks to the audience. But having Deadpool in the mind, like, of the audience, or like in the same world we are, was great. Because then he gets there and he's like, "Oh, big house," and it seems like there's only two of you. Like, they couldn't afford more X-Men. And I was just like, okay, hilarious.
Yeah.
Then when Colossus is like, "I'm taking you to the professor," he's like, "Which one, James McAvoy or Patrick Stewart?" These timelines are so confusing. I was like.
That was hilarious. It felt like in my movie theater, a lot of people didn't get that. I don't know.
I was dying laughing.
Yeah, I was too.
Actually, now you mention it, I don't think a lot of people were laughing around me either.
Yeah.
But I was like falling out, and I guess because he was like saying like he was out of breath, so maybe you couldn't hear it as well. But I don't know. Yeah. But I was laughing so hard. Those were the best parts, where all the stuff with Hugh Jackman and the X-Men Wolverine Origins toy.
Yeah.
Like, all that meta stuff was great. But at the same time, like, they made fun of the X-Men situation, but it still makes it more confusing. We talked about it before with the timelines. Like, I hope this movie lets me know where we are in relation. So Deadpool clearly is current times. X-Men Apocalypse still in the 80s. We don't know where Gambit's going to be. It's like, when do they align?
Yeah.
So that's going to be tough, but that's, neither here nor there. That's something small. The CGI, like you said, the budget, I felt like could have been better. I personally didn't like Colossus. I know you liked him. I never liked the way he looked. I think it wasn't horrible, but I just felt like the original Colossus and the X-Men, the way when he turned into metal looked way better.
Yeah.
It just looked better. And having a human person turning into metal back and forth would have been cool to see. I know that's part of the budget. And like, whatever happened with the original actor, they fired him, then they had to reshoot everything with a new actor. But then they only used the voice. They end up not using his like actual scenes. That could have been a time crunch. But just, stuff like that, it didn't fit for me. But I'm not trying to beat the movie up too bad. I think, as I'll talk about later, just, looking at it as a comic book movie is one thing. Looking at it just as a regular movie, there's issues with, certain directing, techniques and stuff like that that don't work for me, but work for other people. So, so let's go to the end credit scene. What are your thoughts on? And this was confusing. So if you watched before you watched the movie, you might have heard that there were two end credit scenes. I know you were telling me that. And then I watched it and I was so confused. I was like, wait, am I supposed to stay? Is there another one? Because when I watched it, the whole Ferris Bueller thing was just one scene to me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if people were saying there's a second one. Did you get confused on it being two different scenes?
No, I figured the end of the Ferris Bueller one was the end of the credit. Well, we saw the little animations.
Yeah.
That
I don't think that doesn't count.
That wasn't counted. I guess there was only one.
Technically.
But I liked the end credit. For a second, it took me a second to realize it was Ferris Bueller. And then I hear people laugh, and I'm like, what is that from? And I was like, oh, duh, Ferris Bueller. And then, but yeah, I thought the way they revealed Cable was good. I mean, it was the way Deadpool should reveal it. It was like, oh yeah, we're getting Cable too. So
yeah.
But I like how he named out different actors for possible Cable.
Yeah.
So that was funny. But yeah, I enjoyed the cutscene. I mean, obviously you want to see a Cable, but they don't even have the actor for him yet. So and they didn't even know, who they're gonna get. So, but otherwise I liked it.
Yeah, besides being confused, it was pretty funny. Cause to me, I'm just like, okay, this is one scene, but whatever. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen Ferris Bueller yet to this day.
Oh my god!
It's on my queue in Netflix.
I don't think you should be able to do reviews then.
It's on my queue, man. I'm going to watch it. But everyone was laughing. I was like, well, I don't get it. Like, after the movie, I figured it out. But anyway, I still thought it was funny just by itself, and so it was cool. And then getting Cable to be revealed, like I said, you called it. The studios made it official before the movie came out, so I thought it was pretty funny. I was like, I swear I thought Hugh Jackman was gonna show up like that. That's why the whole movie I'm like, Hugh Jackman's got to pop up somewhere in this movie. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, he did kind of.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to our grading for the movie. Now, I think this goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. All film is art, and art is subjective. What hits you one way won't hit us the same way. Me and Sal won't be affected by the movie the same way. So these are just our opinions. Nothing is fact. This is just our grades. So with that, we're gonna go out of 10. What do you give the movie?
I'm gonna give the movie a 9. I think that's what I gave it the night of. Just overall, it kept me entertained. It was a comic book movie, stayed true to itself. It was funny, it was action-packed. The characters were fine in it, they were really good. So, I kind of gauge it on if I can go out and if I want to go out and buy it and watch it whenever. So I definitely think I'll do that with this movie. And yeah, so there's not much to it. I gave it a 9.
Yes, I broke mine up because I'm a critical thinker like this. As a movie, just up against any other movie in the world, taking account all the different things that go into it, I give it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed the movie. It was really good. Like I said, there was parts I had issues with, but overall, good movie and a great theater experience, I think. Even if you don't see it in the theater, the first time you watch it, wherever you are, you're gonna really love it. As a comic book movie, just a pure comic book against other comic book movie, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was deadly accurate to the essence of what Deadpool is, and a lot of winks to the fans, a lot of Easter eggs.
I watched a video, there were 107.
Oh,
and see, I'm sure there are more.
I knew someone was gonna make a video about it eventually and point them all out, and I was like, I kind of want to go see it again and see if I can see stuff for myself. But yeah, it's just a lot of stuff towards the fans. Like we said, you had a fan that starred in this movie, you had a fan that produced this movie, a fan that wrote this movie. They really did justice to Deadpool. So as a comic book movie, 10 out of 10. All right, so that is it for the show today. If you like what you heard and you want more of the canon, give us the ammo by clicking the subscribe button below. Sal, where can people find us?
That was a katana, by the way, if you couldn't tell.
Katana.
They can find us on Twitter at The Canon Vlog, or on Facebook, facebook.com/The Canon.
All right, and I'm your host, Terry. And remember, if you heard it here, it's canon.
In terms of just the movie, I think if he died, that would make me happy. As bad as that sounds. But like you called it too, they would probably just bring him back with an Infinity Stone anyways. I can see that happening. So I definitely think it's very likely that he will die.